Welcome to episode 33 of Take Your Points. I'm your host, Ronan Scott. This week's show, we've got three county footballers taking part with us. I've invited Conor McAliskey in from Tyrone, Ben McKinless from Derry, and Gerard Collins from Down. Ben and Conor aren't playing with their county teams this year. They've decided to take a break, but we get to that later in the show. I wanted to ask them all about how they have felt about this season, this odd season that we have, how they've dealt with it, what the challenges they've faced, and how they think it's affected it this year, and how they think it's going to affect it going forward. So I hope you enjoy the show. Okay, so first up, Conor McAliskey from Clonogh and Tyrone has joined us to talk about his season. He stepped away from the Tyrone panel last year. So thanks for coming on, Conor. You decided not to play intercounty football this year, but can you explain how that came about?
Yeah, so firstly, thanks for the invite on this show. So at the end of last season, I made that decision that I was going to step away from the intercounty setup after the semi-final defeat. You know, we had a few weeks of club football left and I played them, and I thought long and hard over them few weeks on what was best for myself and the year going forward. I decided, that I needed that bit of a break away from the intercounty setup and the demands that's required to commit to that setup. 2017 I dislocated my knee, 2018 I dislocated my ankle, and I think maybe, them couple of years of hard work and to try and get myself back to that level maybe caught up with me. I wasn't enjoying the football, I wasn't enjoying going to training really, and definitely it was playing through a bit of pain, and I wasn't getting the level that I thought that I could compete at, and that was frustrating as well and making me not enjoy it. So over a few weeks I made a decision that I was going to step away and take a break from it. So I made the phone call to Mickey and just sort of decided that I'd take this year out.
Okay, you're not taking part this year, but do you think the shortened season will have any effect, positive or negative, on the county team?
Back in with a straight knockout definitely has that positive aspect to it, to really draw on a crowd at this stage of the year. Straight knockout football, and it's something that everybody probably will be looking forward to this year. But playing intercounty football, at this time of the year, having an Iron final in December probably doesn't have the same appeal to it as the summer football. But look, on that negative side, we've had a positive side of a club season during the summer months, and you can really see the benefit of that. And there's been a lot of hype around that club's season all over the country, so that's something that's been a big positive out of it. And you've seen some boys playing for their clubs and the type of football that they're playing, and it's really being at their top quality and top standards, so surely that's going to be a real positive bringing it into the inter-county setup. We've had the joys of in the Thrones Championship, looking at when you watch the North there, like the Trillick and Killyclahar game, for example, how Matty Donnelly was moving so well, how Mark Bradley was moving so well, in them two games, and that's going to be the real positive going into the inter-county setup of this year. You're going to have a lot of top quality players that have been playing week in, week out for the club, and a real high confidence going into the inter-county season, and it bodes really well for a great inter-county championship.
What did you think of the shortened club season, and what challenges did it bring?
Yeah, the club season was a weird one this year. A lot of clubs probably had their pre-season completed in the February, March months, and playing a couple of friendlies, getting ready for the start of the league, and it all was shut down with the lockdown and coronavirus. And that's something that we had to adapt to, and probably had club players didn't have the motivation to keep their fitness levels going during lockdown, so you probably had a mixed bunch of coming back till in Tyrone we had maybe 3 or 4 weeks to prepare for the first league game, and you probably had a mixed bag of boys coming back fit, ready to play, and boys that had let that fitness sort of slip. And it was definitely difficult trying to keep the fitness up and trying to get boys fully ready to compete. But you obviously had that positive of that it was football week in, week out, and that constant flow of proper football over the summer months, which was a real positive.
Do you think this year with its shortened county season will have any effect on next year?
Yeah, that's definitely a difficult one. Probably not one that I can answer, but for me, I can't see how it doesn't have an impact on next year's season. You had your club football over the summer months here, and your autumn and winter months are spent with the knockout competition in intercounty, and teams are going to be competing in All Ireland final at the end of December. So I don't understand or can't see how men are expected to play again in January in competitions such as the McKenna Cup. Um, I think it's definitely going to have an impact in certain competitions and maybe push back a bit of the league, and maybe take out the breaks in the league, and sort of condense the league into every week. Um, I can't see how you can just ask guys to play the full year round and start again in January. I know that the season has been shortened, but the intercounty players will have been training from January this year the full way through, and during lockdown they would have been training as hard as they could to keep themselves in prime condition for waiting on that phone call for the football to be up and running again. So I don't see how you can sort of set them demands on amateur athletes to not have a break and to just continuously go week in, week out playing and training. Obviously you're going to have teams that are knocked out in the first round or second round intercounty championship will have that sort of break, but we're all sitting hoping that Tyrone's going to be competing in an All-Ireland final at the end of December, and I just don't see, for example, how you would have them teams go back into January to compete again. So there's going to have some impact to next year, and it's up to GA and the fixtures committee to find out how they stop that having such an impact going forward.
Okay, and just finally, Dungannon play Trillick in this Tyrone Senior Championship final this weekend. What sort of final are you expecting?
It's sort of a mixture of the team that's been around the block now the last number of years versus a very young up and coming team that you could imagine will be competing for the O'Neill Cup in the next number of years. Trillick have obviously been around the block. They've won multiple championships now in the last number of years, and they have quality all over the field. They have the two Donnellys, the two Brennans, the two Geordies, Dor Gallagher. They've got quality all over the field, and they've been playing very well. They've set system that's been very, very good in the last number of years, and Matty Donnelly's had a serious championship, him and Lee Brand inside, and they're taking their opportunities, but Matty Donnelly's really dictating a lot of championship games as he's done over the last number of years, and it's up to Dungannon and their management team and their players to help or to come up with a strategy that's going to try and nullify the effect that he has on the game. And if they can do that and they can try and limit the amount of ball that gets to Matty at 14, they'll have a good chance. But look, obviously Trillick are going to be favourites going into the game with their senior championship wins in the last number of years. But look, Dungannon are coming up. They'll fear no one. They beat Earl Kieran in the last game. They beat Arbo before that. They've went extra time. Never said any attitude in their team. They'll be very close. They'll be full of confidence, and they've got quality all over the field as well. The one man that's sort of been standing out for them is Paul Donaghy. He's been scoring a lot of unbelievable scores left, foot and right. And if Dungannon can continue to play that transition football with the youth and the speed that they have, with them big party in midfield really driving forward, and there is opportunity for them to attack Trillick and really put Trillick on the back foot. But if you had to pick a winner, I would maybe think that Trillick might edge it, and I think it will come down to that quality and experience that Matty Donnelly has with the accuracy of Lee Brennan beside him, and if they can get the ball, they can maybe hurt them again a wee bit more.
Connor, thanks for taking part. So thanks for coming on, Ben. Earlier you decided that you were going to leave the Derry panel. Can you explain, why you made that decision?
Back in February, I was flat out with placement, and I was just working hard with the PGC, so I found it tough coming home most weekends. And maybe coming home the Friday night, Saturday morning, going straight to training, and then flying back on the Sunday. Obviously, as a goalkeeper, it was very difficult to impress whenever you're only really at training at the weekends. So Rory and I had a chat. He rang me one day. I was coming home from placement, and we talked, and it just made more sense for me to step away until I was home. But obviously, whenever I came home, I had to come home early because of COVID and because of lockdown. So I never really got a chance to work my way back onto the panel. But at the time, it was the right decision because of what was going on, and just the timing was very bad. It was tough, you know. I was living over there with Charlie Ogue Burns, and he was fit to do it, but we were talking, and we found it very draining, just, coming home for training and then having maybe a few hours at the house, waking up the next day and having to go back again. It was quite tough, but Rory's very understanding, and he was looking me to keep in touch with the strength and conditioning coach and everything, just to keep working at things. But obviously things took a bit of a turn for the worse whenever I had to come home, because lockdown happened and football stopped completely. So yeah, it was tough in that sense.
Okay, so you're studying. How did those studies go in the coronavirus pandemic?
Yeah, during lockdown, studies were going well. I was originally meant to be on placement, so things were a bit different. I was meant to be up in Derry on placement in Derry, so I was looking forward to getting in there and just being about the parish, and just I would have been teaching a lot of the children that I've coached before, so that I was looking forward to that aspect of it. But obviously things changed and I didn't get doing placement, so I found myself doing a lot of online materials to just sort of polish off the end of the course, because at that rate that my placements had went well enough that I had near enough finished. So a lot of time was spent juggling studying and playing a bit of Xbox and just playing a bit of Warzone and stuff. So I'm sure a lot of people found themselves like that too. Well, I know a lot of people did anyway. So but I got on well enough. I ended up passing, and now fully qualified teacher, and I found myself a job 2 days a week in school. So thankfully things went well. It was tough at the start, working, and just it's tough getting focused doing the work whenever you were meant to be in a school. That was always in the back of my mind, that it wasn't really properly doing the work and stuff. But lucky enough, I pushed through and finished the degree with a pass. So happy enough.
Have you been able to play much football, Ben?
Yeah, I've been playing football loads. Prior to lockdown, I was flat out training twice the weekends, once with Ballinderry, once with Derry. So then during the week I would have been training with the boys over in England, Stephen and Charlie. So the three of us, obviously being footballers, it was handy enough that we could go to the gym together, we can go for a kickabout together and stuff when we had the time. Post lockdown, a lot of football's being played. We're flat out training at the minute with club championship going on. We had those 3 group games, so it was good to get a feel of where you were at, just sort of see how well lockdown went for each team, see who'd worked the hardest and stuff. Now teams can finally get into the nitty gritty training and just get focused. We had a good win at the weekend there, so we're in the hat for the next round, and thankfully we're all working hard, and it's nice. It's just nice to get back. It's nice to get the buzz going again around the parish. It's just obviously limited numbers of games and stuff, but it's just nice to pick up the newspaper on a Tuesday and read some match reports about teams. It's just good because the buzz about the area, about the parish, the football's back, and it's good to get back with the boys again after not seeing each other for so long. We're training away flat out, in-house games and stuff like that, so there's been quite a lot of football played. We've nearly made up for the amount that we've missed, but yeah, it's good to see it back, and fingers crossed the crowds can stay, because I know from the game at the weekend there, it was a tight game, and there was a wee bit of a buzz in the crowd again, something that I thought maybe I wouldn't have experienced this year.
I also wanted to ask you, are you missing county football at all?
There's plenty of aspects of the county football that I miss, but it's sort of not a good thing, but it was sort of made it a bit better that nobody was playing the football, because then I wasn't looking at Derry on Championship Day and annoyed that I wasn't part of the panel or anything, or disappointed. But there was 2 or 3 league games played after I was off the panel, and I found myself, I was at 2 of them, and the one against Down I didn't make it home from England for, but I was flat out just refreshing Twitter, and I found myself just on edge, because I'm not really used to not being at the games or anything. So I do miss that aspect. I miss the buzz of a good league game, a good crowd at it. The buzz of training's fun. It's good too, and it's fun as well. Getting good quality goalkeeper sessions in, and just playing with the best players in the county. It's good for really pushing yourself. I feel like I would have missed it more if it had been, summertime championship, a good crowd, maybe 10,000 people packed into Celtic Park, Derry v Armagh. If I had been sitting in the crowd, I would have been sort of kicking myself too that I was missing it. But yeah, there are some aspects I miss. It's always enjoyable. Obviously I've been on the panel since leaving minors, and it's always enjoyable up round Owen Bay. Obviously we've had some tough days in the past there, with relegations and stuff, but it's still, there's still a good feeling pulling on the Derry jersey whenever you do it, and there are plenty of aspects of the county football that I do miss, but I'm sort of glad of the free time too at the same time. Like, I'm happy that I can focus on the club and can give them a good run, because I know in the past I've been very distracted with the county game, maybe has affected my game, and I feel like I owe the club more than that. So it's been good in that aspect for me, because I've had more time to work on things and get myself fitter and stuff like that. So yeah, it's been tough, but it's also been partially enjoyable.
And finally, what do you think about Derry's upcoming county championship campaign?
In relation to Derry's upcoming championship campaign, I would say that whilst Armagh do seem like a very well drilled team, obviously prior to lockdown I got a good look at them, because I was living with Johnny Ogan. We'd watched a couple of games and stuff, and I just feel like though Derry have the players to topple them, and it's about the belief in Derry. I think that the past couple of years there's been a few ups and downs, and whilst it has been sort of more downs, I think that Derry as a team can give more, and being a part of a couple of those teams, I know that we've been in the games sort of knowing we're the underdogs. I think that if Derry believe they can beat Armagh and work hard, then it's definitely possible, because the players are there. The quality of players in Derry now is just, it's crazy. Some of the players that are on that panel, they would walk on to most county teams in Ulster. So it's all about just, do they want it? Armagh are a good team, obviously they have some quality players, and as much as I would hate to admit that they do look like a better side, because they're playing sort of better football in a higher division, I just think that it's far too hard just to write Derry off. I think that the quality of players that Derry have are, far too good just to be a team that are written off as often as we are. So you only have to look at the club record. You've Ulster in the past 10 years, Ballinderry have won it, Slaughtneil have won it twice. There's been teams pushing, Coleraine were very close to Scottstown not so long ago, and I just think that it would be unfair to write Derry off just because they're a division below Armagh. And with Rory in too, the man knows so much about football and he's been about too, so I think that if the championship goes ahead, it could be a very tight game and could just be about who wants it more on the day. I don't think you could call a winner. If I was a betting man, I just wouldn't be fit to call a winner. But all being well, hopefully the championship does go ahead, and if so, I would love to see Derry go on a good run, because I feel like it's well deserved. Being involved in the pre-season training and stuff, men worked hard, and I would think it would just be real enjoyable to see.
Thanks for taking part, Ben. I appreciate it. Okay, I'd like to welcome Gerard Collins, and he's current Down panellist, and he also plays his club football for Downpatrick. I got Gerard in just to get an idea of what county players are preparing for the upcoming inter-county season. But Gerard is also part of the Downpatrick team that was removed from the Down Club Championship due to coronavirus outbreaks, and it was a bone of contention for the club. They weren't happy about it. But so thanks for coming on, Gerard. But I want to start by what's your thoughts about the upcoming inter-county championship?
After the crazy year that 2020's been with COVID and everything else, it's just great to get back playing football. Now the club season's done and dusted for us. I'm looking forward to get back in the down here this week and getting stuck back in it. Obviously before the championship we've got 2 important league games to look forward to as well. 2 must-win games for the try and achieve promotion to Division 2, which has been one of our goals this season. We set back in January. So yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to get back into the lads this week. And obviously our championship game is in November, away to Fermanagh. So I see the news this week, which I'm very happy about. I don't fancy going to Bristol Park in November and having to get changed outdoors. Be a long trek there, a long trek home. So I'm happy that the GA come out and say that the change rooms will be open for us at least. That's one plus. So I just hope then at this stage the pandemic sort of quiets down and we're not left in a situation where we've got a couple of weeks training here and then the whole thing's shut down again. But no, really looking forward to it. I've seen some players giving interviews and some have different views that don't think it should go ahead. I'm all for it. At the end of the day, you want to play football, so the more chance you get for matches, all for it. Championship football as well. You know, knockout, anything can happen. To say 2020's been a crazy year, so who knows, who'll end up Ulster champions.
What were your thoughts about this year's condensed club championship season?
Well, I suppose from my own club, talking from my own point of view, it's definitely been a very condensed club season. You've probably heard about the COVID cases in our club and then the Down County Board taking a very strange, albeit unfair decision to expel our club from the Down County Championship against Carryduff. We were supposed to play. We were supposed to play them on a Monday night. This was the first qualifier for ourselves. Unfortunately there was a bereavement in Carryduff Club, so the match was actually postponed then from the Monday. We agreed to change it to the Wednesday night. Then Carryduff, the funeral was actually on the Wednesday, so they requested last minute for us to change the game again, which we did. Showing a bit of compassion, I suppose, towards Carryduff. Changed to the Friday night. In the meantime, we had a COVID case on the Monday of that week, and then another COVID case on the Thursday of that week. So we requested then the Down County Board would push our game out to give us a chance of playing it. The we cleared sort of cases with the Public Health Agency, who our club had been liaising with. Unfortunately, the Down County Board took a decision that they couldn't wait any longer in our game, so they actually just threw us out of the championship, which was very, very hard to take. I do not agree with the decision whatsoever. In my opinion, all it's done now is it's very interesting in the remainder of the Down Championship. There hasn't been one club still playing on it that came forward to say that a COVID case. So, in my opinion, all it's done is encourage clubs to hide their COVID cases, which is obviously a bit of a health safety risk, and nobody wants that. But obviously, the decision that the Down County Board took, clubs are probably thinking there's no other option at this stage, or they'll face expulsion in the same way we were thrown out. Just don't understand the decision at all, the decision makers or the rationale behind it. If we're already able to push the game out by 5 days, us agreeing to Carryduff to push the game out by 5 days, I don't understand how they couldn't give us another week at it to try and sort it out with the Public Health Agency to clear us to play that game. In fact, our club, whenever we found out the second case, every single member of the panel went, and the following day, or the day after, and got a swab test, and every other player and member of the management team came back with a negative case. So, I mean, from my point of view, the club season, it's been great. The coverage it's got in other counties, and I enjoyed watching on TG Car and RTE and Park TV, to be fair. It's been a very great idea. It's a great idea of the Down Championship, and I've enjoyed some of the matches and the commentary on it. But yeah, the decision just baffles me to this day why the Down County Board threw us out of the championship. It's even more hard to take now that you see the Carryduff have made it through the county final. So yeah, a bitter pill to swallow.
Back to the intercounty, are you expecting a positive or negative intercounty campaign because of the condensed season?
Well, I think that the 2020 Intercounty Championship will be positive. It might take a few people a bit of time to come around it, but once it gets kicked into action and there's going to be games, 3 or 4 games a weekend, and they'll all be available on TV, no doubt. Obviously, what you want is the spectators into the ground, especially with championship matches. It's going to be a strange feeling for ourselves playing in the depths of winter in Brewster Park. With only maybe a couple of hundred supporters there. It's not what they're sort of used to. You're used to playing maybe the sun beating down in May or June time at Park Esler or Park Clonus. You're going around, obviously, at the start of the game behind the band and you can't hear yourself speak. So you will, that championship buzz might go out of it a bit, but at the end of the day, the Anglo-Celt's still there to win, whoever wants it. So that's what we'll be aiming for. Also, the fact that it's going to be pure knockout, to just add that extra bit of space to it. Every single match matters. Sometimes whenever it's a back door, it sort of favours the stronger teams. Probably to see that happen in the Down Championship this year, Kilcoo beating the first match, and lo and behold, they end up in the championship final. But like this year, you're going to have a Tyrone or a Donegal out after the first round. So I mean, brilliant. It's just a throwback to the old days, and in my opinion, pure knockout football is the way to go. I'd love to see it make a comeback. So hopefully this year, if it does end up in a positive championship, which no doubt it will, they might make the knockout come back and stay and get rid of the back door.
Okay, and finally, what effect do you think this season will have going forward in years to come?
Boys probably do need a break. If you're going to play in championship November, December, you could start back in the McKinless Cup January, straight into the league. I'm not so sure. One thing I would like to see happen is a complete split of the club county season. In my own opinion, like the positive nature of the way it's worked out this year, and then everyone seems to be happy. I haven't heard one person complain about the fact that clubs had their full hand for the championship, and you're allowed to give that sort of dedication to your club for training for championship without other distractions with the county. It's probably laid for a better quality championship as well, and the club series across the board. So I would like to see the split club county season, and in my own opinion, you could probably start the county January, and you could have it finished up by end of June, middle of July. You could have your All-Ireland final around those dates, and you could comfortably fit in the league straight into the championship. And then at that stage, potentially kick off the club seasons with the league starting around June. Have that run off in a couple of months, and then straight into your championship again then in September, October time. In my opinion, that would work best. It'd be great. It'd be great to see. I mean, you could be playing your All-Ireland final. I thought it was an All-Ireland final in the middle of July in the heat of the summer. It'd be great. And that would just sort of the whole fixture debate that's been up in the air for years now, and has caused so much press and people talking about it. I think now they really have a chance that they can iron that out for once and for all, and sort out the fixture congestion for once and for all, and I think for the better. I don't think anyone would disagree with that at this stage. But on the topic of next season, I don't know. I suppose the Croke Park and GAA need to probably see how the whole pandemic irons out. You know, I hate to see it, but it could be a case here in a month or two where the whole thing's knocked in the head again, and you're playing behind closed doors. And probably that's another question that needs to be answered. How long can the GAA go on playing behind closed doors? I know the Intercounty Championship has seen figures of €20 million popping around for that. Obviously, they don't have the revenues coming in and the gate receipts and that, so it's going to leave a big hole in Croke Park. And could they run through next year in that sort of scenario as well? I'm not so sure. So I would like to see a decision or some sort of discussion going on about what is to happen for next year, because you probably need to know sooner rather than later, just for peace of mind and just to see what the plans are, I suppose.
Gerard, appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks, Roland. All the best.
Okay, that's our show for this week. Thanks for watching. If you want to watch other shows, there's plenty online. You can get them from the MVTV site or our own site, GaelicLife.com. I would also encourage you to subscribe to Gaelic Life. We are a digital format. There's plenty of features, plenty of articles, plenty of analysis, plenty of good columnists. That's our show for this week. I hope to see you again for the next one. Thank you.